Beacon Press Audio presents The Cost of Fear, Why Most Safety Advice is Sexist and How We Can Stop Gender-Based Violence by Meg Stone. This audiobook is narrated by Julie McKay. Published by Beacon Press Audio, 2025. Introduction. Scared and Powerful. On a dusty mat in a high school gym or in a cramped classroom with desks shoved into a corner, I teach teenage girls to resist sexual coercion. The class is called self-defense, so some of them come in expecting to learn how to fight off a creepy stranger with kicks and punches from an action movie. Instead, we're teaching them to resist a guy they know and like. My co-instructor will portray that guy, the one at the party who invited her to go somewhere quiet, to listen to music, he said. All night, he made her feel special, getting her drinks, ignoring other girls' flirtations. But when they get to the upstairs bedroom, all he wants is sex. He's charming the first time she refuses, telling her she's beautiful and it's not a big deal and she doesn't have to worry because he's more experienced than other guys she's dated. When she refuses again, he yells. She shouldn't have come upstairs if she was going to be a tease. He could hook up with any girl at this party, and why did she waste his time? She gets up to leave. He blocks the door. There's a sprawling debate about situations like this one, and most of the sides people take have nothing to offer her in this moment. For many, the problem is him. He should have been raised to respect her and taught how to get consent. If that fails, a group of well-trained bystanders should rush into the bedroom to stop him. For others, she should have known better. The problem is her poor choices, or the problem is sexual liberation. If there were tighter rules about young men and women being alone together, and a complete erasure of same-sex intimacy and gender fluidity, she wouldn't be facing the prospect of sexual assault. I believe we need a deep and specific investigation of where he learned that it was okay for his sexual desires to eclipse her limits. An investigation that would guide us toward the kind of change that will forever eliminate situations like this one. But that's a long-term endeavor with no guarantee of universal success. Meanwhile, a girl is stuck in a bedroom with a guy who doesn't care that she refused sex. And that guy is blocking the door. We teach her to stand up, move away from him, put her hands in front of her chest, and yell, "Let me leave." He might move aside, probably calling her a bitch, as he does. In that case, she learns to get out fast. Other times, he grabs her wrist. We teach her to break the grip, using her whole body weight against his hand, to strike the head or groin if he doesn't relent. A person who tries to assault her may be larger and have more muscle, but everyone's body has weak points. Eyes, head, groin. I'm not training ultimate fighting champions. The goal is to cause enough pain to end the threat, and the surest way to do that is to strike the vulnerable parts of his body. My co-instructor wears 50 pounds of protective gear, which makes it possible for our students to practice defending themselves by striking as hard as they can. With this level of realism, most people feel scared or angry or immobile in all the ways they would if the situation were real. And because of that, they learn to access their power in the midst of all those feelings. Some sexual violence can be stopped by ordinary strength. Researchers who analyze the National Crime Victimization Survey, which reaches 150,000 U.S. households per year, consistently find that women who physically or verbally fight back are less likely to experience rape. Most, but not all, of these kinds of studies also show that fighting back does not increase a person's chances of serious injury. I don't want to put the burden of stopping rape on teenage girls, but options don't have to be burdens. We can give people the skills to protect their bodies without making them responsible for someone else's decision to harm them. And we can do this without diminishing the experiences of survivors for whom fighting back was not an option. My friend and colleague, Martha Thompson, made the analogy of a hypothetical city in which large numbers of people are drowning. Of course, she says, there should be government-funded lifeguards, and of course, city leaders should work to determine why so many people are falling into the water. I do not want to eliminate these structural supports for minimizing drowning, she explains, but I want to add the possibility that people have opportunities to learn how to swim. With something like drowning, it's easy to accept that working to change the conditions that cause the problem and giving people the skills to save themselves are two necessary parts of the same solution. Each of these efforts would be less effective without the other. But gender-based violence is different. Gender-based violence is defined by UNICEF as physical, sexual, mental, or economic harm inflicted on a person because of socially ascribed power imbalances between males and females. It includes sexual assault, sexual harassment, street harassment, intimate partner violence, stalking, trafficking, and identity-based hate violence. People of all genders can experience gender-based violence. When it's directed at men, it usually targets them for being too feminine or not masculine enough. When it's directed at non-binary or gendered non-conforming people, it targets them for not conforming to the gender they were assigned at birth. One of the reasons gender-based violence remains prevalent is that it's woven so tightly into the fabric of our lives that people often experience it as normal or inevitable. Most of this violence is enacted in one of two contexts: close relationships or economic relationships. Close relationships include partners, family members, friends, and acquaintances. Economic relationships include those in the workplace, as well as the institutions that prepare us for work, like school or college. Experiencing gender-based violence disrupts our ability to trust, or it disrupts our ability to support ourselves. It persists because laws are inadequate or inconsistently applied. Institutions dismiss the problem to avoid accountability. Cultural norms about this violence are inconsistent, and some people are capable of abusing. Gender-based violence is a social and political problem, but it's often enacted in the most intimate spheres of our lives. To stop this violence, we need strategies that are just as intimate. Still, working to prevent gender-based violence by building individual skills requires discernment. Victim blame is rampant. Survivors get messages, blatant or subtle, that if they hadn't gone to that party, worn that skirt, taken that drink. There are two opposing philosophies of how to make people safer. One exacerbates victim blame, and the other challenges it. I call them safety through compliance and safety through resistance. Safety through compliance puts the burden on women and others who are targeted for gender-based violence. We are assaulted, they say, because we make bad choices. The way to avoid being a victim is to be smarter, but being smarter has nothing to do with reasoning or thinking. The way to be smarter is by following. Safety through compliance gives us life-limiting rules we're supposed to follow if we want to avoid being attacked. Don't undress in front of your bedroom window. Always take the elevator. Criminals hide in stairwells. Don't shop alone. These rules are usually made by men who don't provide any good reasons for why we should follow them. Most women I know have encountered this kind of directive, an unnuanced claim that our daily routines are dangerous. To stay safe, we should forego errands and pleasures. We should treat our friends and spouses like chaperones whose job it is to protect us from being in public alone. There is no evidence that constricting our lives in any of these ways makes us safer. Also, these directives are irrelevant to most gender-based violence. Not walking alone at night won't save you from your boss's sexual harassment. Avoiding stairwells does nothing to help the girl in my class get out of that bedroom. Compliance-based safety advice targets women, even when it is presented as gender-neutral. A Google search for "women how to be safe" turns up billions of results, most of them lists of activities we should avoid or do only in groups. But when you search "men how to be safe," most of the top
Sample complete. Ready to continue?